I'm really excited to be back on the track and making this my first race on the track in Brussels. Thanks to the team who's put this together. I'm very excited. I'm like a little kid, excited and see what I can do tomorrow for both of us. It's just nice to be back on track. I'm just like...
Yeah, I think even during the race we will be just, whatever happens, we will be just friends. So I think last few laps, if we stay together, then I think then we are no more friends.
I think the most important thing is just get through the first half of the race and then we'll see what will happen. Not saying anything else. We haven't talked to great details, but we talked about what we're capable of running, and I think the most important thing, as you said, like for ourselves, is get through the first half and see where we are, and then from there, it depends on who's feeling great, take on the lead and push on. But I think that what we're going to do for sure in terms of the race is just, you know, get behind the paces and get straight away, got on that time. I think it's always nice to set history, and as I said, like it's not an Olympic event, which makes, you know, goes down there a little bit, but at the same time it's a world record. Anyone who's run the world record is phenomenal, and it's amazing. And this record has been there for a long time, and you know, owned by someone who's done a lot for athletics and what we bring back. So at the same time, I think if you do go break that record, end of the day, it's a record and it's exciting, you know, where they are. It's just nice to have, and I guess it would have been a little different if Bashir, you know, if the crowd were here, because I think he would have got a lot more support than me.
Running is easy. You just get it out what you put in, and I think he was better than me on training, and I have to be honest to myself, but I will stay with him as much as possible.
Yes, I watched that race. It was very exciting. You know, the records are there to be broken no matter what. And at the same time, when I run 3:28, broke the British record, European record. It was amazing. At the same time, you know, Inga Brixton are great athletes. They believe in themselves and they train hard, and you couldn't wish on anyone else beating it other than, you know, them guys. And at the same time, it's all of us. How exciting is it to see a young kid running that fast? What can you do? That's the next question. And obviously see them growing up and you know, come through the ranks. And it's just you know, it's just nice to see them running well and mixing in with them and not being afraid of Africans, other people, and mixing in. I think that's what the sports needs. We need to believe enough that no matter what we put in, what we get out of, and continue to push ourselves. We shouldn't set ourselves a limit where we say, can't beat so-and-so, beat so-and-so. I remember myself, when I saw the Ethiopian, the Kenyans, I was questioning, I was like, how can I beat them? What can I do? But there's no secret. You go train as hard as them, put in the work, and what will be, will be.
And we'll see tomorrow what they can do more, because Jakob is here again for the 50.
Is he? Yeah, alright. You better listen, Jakob. What?
Actually, do you plan to run a marathon before Tokyo?
I don't know yet. First this race, and then we will make a new plan. And manager is behind. He will have more information than me.
It is a couple of zeros at the end.
Not the chance that you will run London?
No, no London, Amsterdam being cancelled. No, difficult times for everyone.
Okay, maybe one last question, make it a good one, and the guys can go train.
Oh, because of your marathon training, did you lose any of the speeds that you need on the track?
Not at all. I believe I'm more stronger than I was at the time. So I feel like I haven't lost. It's just something that I need to work on. And I think having the marathon under my belt has definitely built me stronger. Well, my legs can take more mileage, which is a nice thing. And as I said, it's training. The coach knows best. But you know, I just continue to now push on.
Bashir's face has more than most answer.
He can still run 47 after end of a big hard workout.
Okay, great. Thanks a lot, guys.
Thank you all.
For this very nice chat, and we're really looking forward to that race tomorrow at 9 o'clock.
Mama, kamu babiles kepari.
Okay, so obviously after talking about world hour records with Wanda, we all know we have a second attempt on the same, not the same distance, but the same time, the hour with the women. Our two poster girls are here with us, Brigitte Kosgei and Stefan Hassan, so we're really pleased to have you here, two fantastic athletes in the long distance from the last few years. I mean, it's a long list to introduce them, but just a few things with Birgit, some fantastic performances on the marathon, world record holder, and what we saw on the marathon with coming through times, 20 kilometers in 1:03:27. So that means we have calculated a little bit that 1 hour was about 19.1 kilometers, so which is really impressive and which is very hope for tomorrow. And of course, next to us, the Dutch lady Sifan, who won 2 world titles so far, and has we saw some fantastic performances in Doha. We saw some fantastic performances already here, also in Diamond League in Brussels. So we're really pleased to have you both here with us, and thank you for being here. Birgit, you have been training a lot on the marathon. You've been doing a lot of marathons lately, and not so much on the track. This is a very different challenge. How do you look forward to this?
First of all, I want to say thanks for the race organizer for inviting me to this pandemic race. Mine is to just to come here to do my best tomorrow, because I was preparing in London, so I was looking if I will get speed more than what I have did in the road. So I come here to try my best if I will make the record, that one for 1 hour. So mine is just I'm preparing London for the next month.
So, and Sifan, we know you have great track speed, so I mean, the historical double with 1,500 and 10,000 meters, which we saw last year at the World Championships. How are you looking forward to that race tomorrow?
Yeah, thank you guys that this is really a difficult task and overnight between times, and you guys make this race. I really appreciate it. Thank you so much. This is very different. Everything is different. The Olympic dance, we also, most of the activities inside, we didn't train like before we used to do. I don't know which shape I am. I did 3 weeks ago in Monaco. I wasn't that much that good because it was a very short time to prepare. But this time I prepare more better shape, but I don't think I'm in lower shape. But I think I'm managed to run better time.
Okay, great. Now we're really looking forward to this, and obviously a world record is never easy, but if we look at both of your track records or road record, I should say, I think this record is really feasible, that we see that the times you come through on the half marathon is already the world record pace, and what you've done in the 10,000 as well, Sifan. How differently did you have to prepare to run 1 hour and not a certain distance?
I did also, half marathon. I never prepared for it, but this time, because I don't have bases like long run, everything, I didn't build that because the COVID-19 was like, I was trained in Ethiopia, I couldn't train actually, politics, everything was like that. So after I come to Samoa, like 5 weeks ago, I tried to build first my endurance, because now really my endurance is very low, I haven't prepared. I really try to train for long distance. Before I used to train for 1,500 meters. When I ran half marathon, I was practicing actually for just mid-long distance for 15, 5K. But this time I was more focused on long distance, and it is very painful, but yeah, I think it's so hard to say which shape I am, but my training this couple weeks ago, 2 weeks ago, 1 week ago, it's much better.
Okay, great, really important. And great for you, it's I think the other way around, because you're running the longer distances than Stefan, and you're going for a shorter, quicker distance now. So how did you prepare for this?
When I was in Kenya, I was just doing speed walking in the field and sometimes speed roads. So I was well prepared, and I know I have my competitor here, Stefan, whom will compete with us tomorrow and other colleagues. So I hope I will do good because I was being prepared well. Because during Kenya I was doing just in field little and in the road little. So I hope tomorrow I will do my best.
So, Stefan talked about it, and I'll ask you some more questions about that, Stefan. But really, how did you cope with the whole lockdown and then the whole situation? Obviously, the world has changed drastically since March for everybody and for athletes in particular as well. Have you been able to continue with your training in Kenya, or has it changed a lot?
Due to this pandemic, the trainer.
Can you put the camera, the mic a little bit closer for you? So, thanks. Yeah.
Yes, the training has been changed because of due to this pandemic, which have been served in the whole world. So we just train me only with my pacemaker, and sometimes me alone. So I just do my best there when I was in Kenya. But it's not like the way when we were at camp with my colleagues. It's not like earlier on where we were with my friends. So I just try my best to do my best tomorrow.
And Stefan, I read somewhere that you spent 5 months in Ethiopia in the lockdown. A big part of that without your coach as well. So how hard was it?
For me, I went in February. I think because of half marathon, like half marathon world championships. I was actually in February, March, in Ethiopia. I was actually practicing, but suddenly they was cancelled, everything cancelled. I was like, okay, I'm gonna take rest and a break like 3 weeks. I take break off like in March, and then like in April, really big political problem. We couldn't even go outside. I was like 3 months I haven't even go. We were so scared. This is so fighting. It is very hard, and I really practice. My practice was just, I come to some boys, and I come to Netherlands. I started Netherlands like 2 months ago, 7 weeks ago, and that is just I was locked down.
Well, you're well rested, that's for sure.
Yeah.
So tomorrow on the track, we know also, we talked about this before with the men and also with Faith Pierre yesterday. There's some new technology, there's a wave light, which is kind of digital pacemaker that with lights will show the pace. How do you feel about these technological innovations in our sports, and how do you think it will help tomorrow?
Personally, I have run the wave light very well because I always unprepared when I race the race. But actually, it is good, really. It's motivation, so the athletes know where they are. So sometimes the coach shows you are running this, you are close to world record, and then you don't know. They look at me like a half mile, I think mile in Monaco. I didn't know where I was. I don't know even I was close to world record. I was just trying to do my best, but suddenly I get the world record. But if that was visualized, then I know I'm going to work with him. I may run extra to catch up. I think that this is really fantastic. It's good for athletes also. It's hard to hear from outside, especially for 5K, 100 meters. I think the method is good.
Great. Well, unfortunately, we will not have public in the state. That's also one of those disadvantages of the times we live in right now. But we'll have some crowd noise mixed, actually, that it's encouraging you, and some great music. Birgit, you used to run more the marathons, so have you ever run with technology like this before?
I never ran even that rule like that I had now today. I've never experienced such a things because I never been in the field since I started my marathon directly, and I do my best now. So I never been in the field since. So it's a miracle that I had that like someone in front of someone checking the record.
Okay. So I don't know if there's some more questions from our friends journalists. Yes, in the back.
The question for Bridget, Monaco, before the end of the year, you were saying you did see your children very much retreat, and perhaps busy in the training camp. Have you been able to see more of them now that you're training on your own?
The question was that you haven't, in the previous periods, training and traveling a lot, you couldn't see your kids so much, and now you've been home and getting training a lot. So have you had time to spend more time together with your kids?
Yes, we were in camp during January, February, and then when we heard about that coronavirus, we just did the camp, everyone, and I went to my home to stay with my kids. Up to 2 months ago, I started to train slowly and prepare well because I had London has been open, so I started there to train slowly. And then now I say let me go to try any half marathon or any field. If my body will be satisfied, I will be okay during a London marathon. So for tomorrow, I just wanted to try my best to look how my body will be in the London.
Anyone? Okay. So anyway, we're looking forward tomorrow at 6:15 about, 7:15, I'm sorry, the race is starting. So I'm looking forward for a really exciting hour, and we hope that we can see the first world record of this night tomorrow. So I wish you all the best, a good night's rest, and see you on the track tomorrow.
Thanks so much.
Thank you, both of you.
I've got you guys to thank because this event's kept me very motivated throughout training in the last couple of months when I've been here.
And how have you been coping with this whole pandemic situation, and how has training been? Has it been very different for you in UK? In France, you've been living in France.
Yeah, it was difficult to begin with. In France, I was there when the lockdowns were first put in place. We were one of the first countries to go into complete lockdown, so when that happened, I started to leave back home. I didn't see my coach for almost 2 or 3 months. So my technical work was what I've been building on the last couple of years, obviously got halted, and I was able to train, but it was a multi-event, it's a very technical event, 7 different events. Yeah, so it was difficult to keep them up to a certain level. I think my fitness and my strength kept the same, but yeah, my technical input suffered when the facilities in France opened, I came back, and yeah, I've been slowly building and trying to get back into shape since then.
And how is your shape now, in your own opinion?
Yeah, my training is going well. I think my training is weirdly going very well. Obviously my motivation goes up and down. The competitions, I'm very rusty, so I'm happy that I was able to get in a couple of competitions this year at a high level. Yeah, but my training's been going well, so hopefully I can show that on the track tomorrow.
Yeah, sure, absolutely. Which of the 2 events are you looking for the most, the hurdles or the high jump?
The high jump's always been my favourite event. That's how I first got into sport. That's how I got into athletics. So high jump is my number 1 best day.
We're really looking forward to that. So obviously, the colleague journalists will ask you questions about that for sure. There's one other rising star who's competing here tomorrow, and we've seen some great performance from Dadic. Well, what do you think about that?
Yeah, I've been competing against Dadic since 2009. She's a very good friend of mine, and she started off, she messaged me when I first came back to training and said, do you want to be part of a 1 hour heptathlon? I was like, you're so crazy, no. But maybe it was in September, but yeah, she has had an incredible season so far, so I'm excited to see her and compete against her again.
Great. So, yeah, the floor is yours, guys.
How sad are you that not even here, Catherine?
How sad am I?
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm sad. It's always great to compete against Nadia. I don't know, I don't want to speak for her, but you know, we always bring out the best in each other. Obviously, it would have been nice to compete against Luke and Radic all together in the triathlon. But yeah, I'm sad that the triathlon's being cancelled because I've been really looking forward to it, and I hope that we get to that soon because it's going to be a big 2021 and coming years after that.
Yeah, back.
Can I just ask you, outside athletics, how big a deal was it when you were trying to how much did that like your life?
Yeah, it's something that they haven't won in 30 years. That was like since before I was born. It was one of those things where I've just been waiting and waiting. Last year was an incredible season, and I draw so much motivation from my football club LFC, so I'm so happy that they were finally able to do it. And yeah, they became world champions in Doha and the Khalifa Stadium as well, the World Cup. So yeah, I really draw motivation from them, and yeah, it's been a great year. But well, at first it was like I'm in the worst place because I'm a scout and LFC supporter and Olympian, and both of those Premier League got postponed and the Olympics got cancelled. So it's been a great year, but it's finished up in a good place.
Yeah, Michelle.
We briefly talked at breakfast and you mentioned the fact that actually for you it's been quite unusual being able to be on the circuit a little more because normally as a captain you don't quite experience that. Do you like that or do you miss being in that triathlon experience?
There's something that I'm going to try and push for, obviously, when I work with the Athletics Association, Christine Taylor, it's one of those things like with meet directors, if they've got a star as in Natalie in Brussels, then we're open to sort of doing the triathlon and putting on events. That's what the fans want to see, that's what the locals want to see, and ultimately that's where we perform best. So I'm lucky that Brussels were able to do that, and obviously if you would have had Gateshead as well, we were trying to set that up, and it's something that I think should be a part of the circuit, and I'm fortunate enough that I'm strong in high jump and long jump, so I'm able to compete on the circuit, but it's something that I think should happen all the time with the triathlon in the Diamond League events.
High jumping is your favorite. You're looking for 2 meters?
Okay, so I've got 3 goals in life. I used to end me up it. I used to always want 7 meters, 2 meters, and 7,000 points. But I've stopped going and aiming for performance in the last couple of years, and I'm just trying to think of the process. And when I was so focused on performance back in 2015, 2016, 2014, I was winning no medals. So I think my change of perspective has definitely helped me become a better athlete, even if I don't have those performances with my name.
You jumping sometimes on train or no?
No. I'm never as good in training as I am in competition.
But
so I'm doing all this.
So what are your perspectives now, you said?
Just trying to win medals, which is a bit difficult this year.
What has Doha changed for you?
Doha has made me believe that's possible, and that's something that I definitely struggled with a couple of years ago. I didn't know whether I was able to put a good performance like that out, so now that I know that it's possible, it's definitely given me the confidence going forward that I'm able to do it.
The disappointment you had in London, in front of a large crowd, the league was huge, you said yourself. How much outstanding for that
Yeah, 2017 was definitely a difficult year for me in so many ways. Like, first of all, not being in the medals in London and in front of my home crowd was tough, but at the same time it was one of those things where I'd made the big change and I'd seen some of the results that were possible, even though I had, you know, a bad performance in London, and 6 of my events were very solid, and if it wasn't the high jump, I could have medalled, but 2017 forced me to change my perspectives on things. I did got it, you know, months before London, and I came 4th, I think, and obviously the winner was Nafi with 7,000 points, but 2 girls scored 6-8 as well, so it was like, that was a turning point for me where it's like, even if I'm at my very best, I'm not going to medal here. So it took some time, but yeah, I just plodded away like my LFC club. You mentioned them before, but yeah, it took some time, and I think it was a bit too soon for me to do a performance after just moving my coach. I was only maybe 6 months into that change, and I think it's definitely paid off now 3 years later.
Kevin Mayer is not training with Bertrand anymore. Does that change anything in the group and for you?
No, it hasn't changed anything for me. We used to train separately apart from in camps, and he's still going to come on camps with us, and they're still, you know, very close. They've had a partnership for 12 years, which, you know, is incredible, and they've had an incredible career together. So yeah, he's still at the track, and they're still, you know, very, very much talking and stuff.
Nafi is coping with some injuries, also last year. Is it the key for next year for the Olympics to get there injury free for you both? Is that the most important?
I think for every athlete that's going to be, you know, the number one aim. That's definitely for me. I've struggled with injuries in the past, and when you're not 100% confident with your body, it's hard to put your focus on your performance because you're just thinking about your injury. So I think, yeah, that's probably the goal for any athlete looking to the Olympics.
Do you need a competition again against Nafi before Tokyo, just to see where you both are, or do you, yeah?
I don't know. It's not something that, you know, we discuss. Obviously, I need a heptathlon before Tokyo. I'm going to compete in a heptathlon. I don't know where that is yet because there's 2 indoor championships with a pentathlon too, so I don't know how to fit that in, but it's not so much practice against each other. I think it's just for me, I've won a long time now. I've not done a heptathlon this year, and I'm going to need one before Tokyo next year.
Thank you.
How important is it for you to have a competitor like that?
I think, like I said, about 2017, 3 girls when we scored the 6-8, 6-8 and the 7,000, it definitely spurred me on to become a better athlete. I know that I needed to step up my game. I think it's definitely, it pushes you to know that you have to be at your absolute best in order to get on the podium, in order to win. So I think, yeah, it's incredible. She's definitely pushed the sport along, and yeah, I'm just trying to catch up in the later years, and I'm finally glad that I'm able to be at that, you know, competitive now, for sure.
Do you keep in touch in off season, or?
Only doing like TikTok things on Instagram otherwise.
I've seen some great stuff. Obviously, we can't have our the British colleagues here. We're streaming, so they asked a few questions, Katerina, that I'd like to read and answer how you feel about it. But one of the questions from the British press was, you've speaking out in Vogue about the whole racism lately. How important is a role? How important are you, or do you feel you can play a role in this?
Yeah, it's definitely important to me. I think during lockdown, a lot of people had a lot of time to sit around and, you know, realise a couple of things about themselves, and, you know, it took me, I wrote that maybe a couple of months ago, yeah, and it took me, you know, a long time before I could feel comfortable to put that out, but I do think it's definitely important for me to use my voice and my platform, and thankfully I'm thankful to Vogue for posting that and putting that on, you know, such a widespread platform that, you know, a lot of people could read it, because in sport. I think you've seen it a lot with the Americans, the NBA players, and the tennis players as well. And I think it's important to keep on and carry on with that message for sure.
I agree. And the other question is probably very irrelevant for the people in the room, but it's very British. How do you feel about British Athletics appointing Christian Malcolm as Olympic head coach?
Yeah, it definitely all ties in. He's the first black head coach too, and I think he's going to do a wonderful job. I think, you know, he's not too disconnected from being an athlete, so I think he's definitely going to have the athletes. Yeah, he's going to have the athlete in mind when he makes decisions, and that's definitely what's needed.
Not that it matters, but I'm happy with that as well. Christian was from my generation and a good friend. So.
Yeah, he's such a nice fellow. It couldn't be a nicer person to know.
That's the two British questions. I don't know if colleagues have some more questions or begin on one of those topics.
Yes, the British Championship this weekend?
Friday and Saturday. I'd agreed to come in before British Champs. I'd already signed up to coming in before British Champs, and they changed the date. So yeah, it was difficult for me to get back in time.
Well, we're very grateful that you're here, Katrina. So we really look forward to tomorrow. I think two very nice